All right, in this Hangout, we are going to talk about how to be a little bit more productive with your Gmail and keeping your email organized and things like that. So first thing I want to do is share my screen with you and give you an opportunity to take a look at what I've got going on here. So here is my training account. You'll notice I don't have any email in the inbox, but that's going to be okay. I'll show you the difference between your inbox and your archive and kind of where all of your email goes when you bring things in. So first off, I have my inbox. This is where you'll be able to find all of your unread messages. So or I use this as my to-do list as well. So anything that's in here that I need to address, I'm going to keep that in my inbox. As soon as I don't need it, as soon as it's something that I don't need to address anymore, I take it out of my inbox because that kind of interrupts my feng shui when I'm working with these kinds of things. So over here under more, you'll see I've got a bunch of different things going on over here on the left-hand side of my screen. If I click on all mail, this is everything that I have in my inbox that has come in and is a part of my account. Now these count with my storage. You'll see I have 31 messages in here. If I were to show you my functioning email account, you'd see that there'd be tens of thousands of messages in here, and those all came over from my import. So anything that is in your all mail box is still here and still searchable. So if I go into my inbox, even though it says I have no new mail, if I do a search in here for D. Hoagie, you'll see that I have emails. Anything that has Mrs. Hoagie's name in here is going to show up in there. The search feature is really super powerful, just like you would expect from Google. So if you're looking for something particular, it's better and easier and quicker to just search for it in the search bar at the top rather than try to go and find it in the folders that you're looking for, particularly if you have a large volume of email in here. So if I wanted to search, for example, for Storytown, you'll see that anything that has Storytown in it, not only in the to part, but also in the body of the message. I could do a search for weekly, and you'll see it comes up with I've got weekly stuff anytime you see the word weekly in there. And not only does it search in my my messages, but it also searches in the content of the attachments and in the content of the emails. So somewhere in here is the word weekly, and that made it pop up in my search results. So very powerful search that we have in our Gmail. Best practices for keeping organized is going to be to take care of emails that are in your inbox as you need to, and then when you're done with them, archive them. Don't delete them like we were working with in our previous system. Archiving helps you keep a record of old things and also makes them searchable like we had right up here. So another thing that you can do when we're functioning with our email is if I go in here into all of my mail, you'll notice that this message right here has a little gray text by it that says announcements. We apply labels in Gmail rather than putting things in folders. The advantage of applying a label rather than putting it into a folder is that I can have multiple labels applied to the same message, whereas I couldn't put a message in the same folder or in multiple folders. So, for example, if I have this label right here, or I have this message and I want to put a label on it, I can open up my message, and then I can click up here where it says labels. And then I've got a bunch of check marks to label it. I can have as many or as few labels as I want. I can nest them if I want. So I can have labels, or however you want to end up doing it. And that'll be a nice, easy way to tag things and make them a little bit more searchable. Here again, you don't want to necessarily keep everything in your inbox. So if I click on this arrow to go back to my inbox, I've got this message in here. I don't want to delete it. I want to archive it. So I'm going to check on this box right here and then click on the archive button. It takes it out of my inbox and puts it into more mail, and I see it right here, so it doesn't delete it. Okay, so there's one thing to remember: archive, don't delete. Then you can keep track of things. Now, for this one, this is an email that I'm going to get very consistently. So I can create a filter with these emails to automatically put them in the place that I want to. So, for example, I have this message right here, and I want to do something with it. So I can click under More, and then I can click on Filter Messages like these. So when I click on that, I can identify a from, I can identify a subject, has the words, doesn't have. So you have some pretty powerful search features that you can do in here. And then you can even go by a chat, by attachment or things like that if you want to as well. And then I click Create Filter with this search. And now I've got some options. So if it's one of those emails that you don't necessarily need to do anything with, but it is something that you are going to have to address potentially, then you can just have it skip the inbox. So it doesn't go on to your to-do list. It just gets moved directly off of your to-do list and into a part that that is a reference. Now, I would suggest not clicking on this box to mark it as read. Just because then you don't know what you've seen and what you haven't. I'll go over starring items in just a little bit. Then I can also apply a label. So I'm going to pick a label, and if I create a new label, because right now it's already got announcements. So if I pick a new label, and I'm going to call this label From Jason, because it came from my account. Then I can, so if I apply the label, then it skips my inbox. Another thing that is very useful with these options is to click on this Never Send It to Spam. So that will skip sending it to your spam folder over here on the left-hand side. That's really useful for particularly if you get those automated system messages that are obviously sent out to a mass number of people. You can have it never send it to the spam, and then that'll help make things work a little bit more easily from that part of it. So I will never send this to spam because it's always going to be a message from me that I don't want to mark as spam. And then I can also apply this filter to any conversations that are in my inbox. So I'm going to click on this box as well, and then create a filter. And now you'll notice I've got two gray boxes up here. I have announcements, that's one filter, and then I have another filter that says this is from Jason. So if I go back here into my inbox, I'm going to just very briefly pop over to my regular email, and I'm going to send an email to the training account. And so I've just sent that message. It's going to take a little bit for it to travel through the internet and everything to get back over here to where it needs to be. And you'll see over here on the left-hand side, I've got a filter called Jason. And when I refresh this, maybe I need to refresh the page completely. Nope. It'll show up there. There it goes. Finally was delivered to me. You'll see over here, my JSON folder turned to a 1 because I have an unread message in there. So this is a really easy way to filter those messages that aren't necessarily to-do list things, but they are things that I need to put in here. Now I can always apply a label without archiving something. So with this message that I have right here, if I had changed my label, or if I had changed my filter so that it didn't archive it, it just sent it to this folder, folder, then I could filter those things and then archive them after I've gone through them and been done with them. So hopefully that makes a whole lot of sense. And if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, you can always just watch the recording, or go through those additional tests and things with this part of things. So hopefully that that kind of makes sense. And we can, let's see if I can get my nope. Trying to get my question and answer running, but it doesn't look like it is. Okay. So it looks like I have some comments showing up in the Google Plus feed, which is good. So I'm not seeing where to have my question and answer stuff go through, which is kind of a bummer. I'll figure it out. Probably be better to do that next time. So if you have a question, you can send it to the training account. Let's do that. Send your questions to training@benps.org, and then I'll address them in here, and we'll see those. We'll see those new questions come in. So hopefully you guys can. Hopefully that'll be a nice workaround for us right now. Okay. So speaking of getting email in an organized fashion, let's say that I've got something that I'm going to want to refer back to. It's kind of an important thing, but it's something that I want to be able to find rather quickly. This is what starred messages are for. So let's go back here into my JSON folder, and you'll see right here there's this little star. So if I click on that star, that's kind of a quick and easy way to mark things as quick to find. So if I click here under starred mail right here, you'll see I've got my message that I click on, that I put that star next to in this starred list. So this is another place to put your to-do list kinds of things, if you wanted to do that. So if this is a message that I want to work with, and okay, I've done the things that I need to do, I can just click on this little star here, and then that removes the star. And now if I go here, then that that gets rid of it in this list. Now I still have it under my JSON label, and I also have it under all mail. So it stays in both places, no matter what. If I do happen to want to delete a message, I can certainly select it by clicking in the box in here and then clicking on the trash can to delete it. It's going to stay in there for 30 days. So I have 30 days to undelete it, and then if it ends up getting past that 30 days, then it gets deleted. Or I can just empty the trash now, and then everything that's in there gets deleted. Nothing is in there anymore. Now I will also tell you that all of our emails are archived, sent or received to these email addresses. So if you end up needing access to a deleted email, or if somebody issues us a subpoena or something like that, all of those are archived and searchable. In addition to your emails, all of our chats are archived and accessible by search as well. So not that you need to be afraid of it, but it is something that you do need to know, that all of those things are covered under our data retention policy. So you need to be aware of that. That is all that I wanted to show. Oh, one more thing, one final thing. So in the web access, I've got all of these different categories over here. You'll notice if I hover over JSON, I have this little arrow at the right-hand side of the label. If I click on that arrow, I can assign a different color to that label. So then anything that gets marked with that label is going to have, it's going to be a blue label, you see right here. The other thing that I can do there is I can have this show if unread in the label list. So in the label list over here, this is my label list. If I click on show if unread, then it hides it here, and I only see that label if there's an unread message. So if I go back here to my inbox and let's send another message to my training account. And we're going to call this one Hangout again. We let it go through the whole routing and transfer that it needs to go through and all the things that it needs to do. And then when it shows up, you'll see over on the left-hand side in my list of labels over here, the JSON folder will, or the JSON label will show up once again, and we'll be able to see, there he is. We'll be able to see that there's a new message in there. Now, as soon as I click on this to read that message, you'll notice that the label goes away. All right, so that is what I had to share as far as staying organized with your Gmail. If you have any additional questions, I didn't see any coming in or anything like that over the email. So if you have any additional questions, shoot me an email, send a message on Hangouts, do a chat. However you guys want to do that, I am accessible to you and will be available to help whenever you guys need it. The recording of this broadcast will be available on my YouTube channel, and I'll send you guys a link to that when it's ready. Thanks a lot for tuning in.